This is Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel.
Welcome back to Inside the Wolf's Den with your hosts, Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel. Today, we're going to be talking about retaining remote team members, which has been kind of a hot topic lately, right? Having remote team members, if you guys know, also known as virtual assistants. We have, in our company, we have probably 30, 35 remote team members.
Yeah. And then we own a company that sources, remote team members through TrueWork Logistics. So it's why I think it's becoming a hot topic is because, after the pandemic, a lot of people went remote, a lot of people hired remote team members.
And we all figured that we all found that it can be done.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's also, how do you retain them? How do you keep them, the longevity with them? How do you motivate them? I think
keep them engaged.
People are learning, like, it was a great concept. Now that I've had them a year or two, how do we keep going with this? I think is
right.
So,
yeah.
So I thought it'd be a great topic and something that I think is valuable and that people can use. And you can apply this, like our remote team members are out of the country, majority in Mexico or the Philippines. We have some in Europe, but the bulk of them are in Mexico and the Philippines. But this can also apply to people that work remote in the U.S., right? That work from home.
Yeah.
You can apply a lot of these concepts.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, any of your employees, and really I think where I want to get to is that it should be no different. Like when you're hiring a remote team member, out of the country, it should be no different than your process of hiring a traditional employee, right? Mm-hmm. You follow those same tactics, I think that you're going to be just fine. Yeah,
you do a lot of conference calls for TrueWork Logistics, and a lot of that's you're just going over the. I don't know why it's still a mind shift that they had to get over, right?
It is.
It's like treat it just like you would any other employee. Just because they're not in the office doesn't mean you don't onboard them properly. You don't,
right.
you do the same steps, right? And sometimes people that have U.S.-based employees don't have a good onboarding process. So if you don't have a good onboarding process, please, I think we've done a couple of podcasts, right? On
yes,
onboarding.
we have. Yeah. I can't remember which ones, but we definitely have.
Yeah. So, have a good process for onboarding, have a good process for reviews, and we're going to get into that, but I agree.
Yeah. But I think one of the big mistakes that a lot of companies that utilize remote team members make is, I think first and foremost, finding the right person for the right seat, right? Which, when I talk to a lot of companies, they say, oh yeah, I found a remote team member, online. And, they said they had marketing experience or customer service experience, right? Whatever they're hiring for. But then they get in and they realize that, oh my gosh, this person, can't do the role that I hired them for. And so when I get into, okay, well, what have you done? Like, how do you know they're fit for that role? And they really don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think it's important to, make sure that you have the right person for the right seat, first and foremost. And we use the tools like the predictive index, which really helps us, to determine if they do fit that role.
Correct. And something that we do this is even in the notes that we talked about, that we put down for today. But I think I'm glad you're getting into it, because I think the hiring process probably is going to lead to you retaining
exactly.
them
That's
longer. Because I think if you
first step.
Put the wrong people in, and you should be doing like Teams or Zoom calls, interviewing these people, interviewing several candidates. It shouldn't be just an email exchange to hire. It should be. You should be doing your due diligence. And so just like you'd have them come into the office and do an in-person interview, you would do a remote interview as well.
Yep.
And probably have several people in your team review them and talk to them and get a sense of if they're a good culture fit, if they're going to be good for your team. And
look at those assessments too firsthand. Yeah. I had a client today where, he was complaining about his remote team member, that it was in a sales role, and looking at their predictive index, they should be in an admin role, right? So there's the reason why, his person, he hired the wrong person for that seat. Yeah, she's probably good as an admin. Doesn't say that he has to get rid of her, right? But she's in the wrong seat.
Yeah. Something else. So what was I talking about with that? and hiring, I lost it.
Onboarding, maybe?
No, but it was along that lines. Anyways, but I totally lost my train of thought. That was a good point.
Must have been good.
It'll come back. Anyways, but yeah, just focus on your onboarding and your hiring. It's crucial. That's the first step in getting the right team member, right? And putting the right person in the right seat.
And don't just jump to it. Like you said earlier, I think you really have to take your time.
Correct.
Interview 3 to 4, 5 different people that fit what you're looking for. But again, because you not only want the right person, we look at, do they want it, right? Do they get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity? But then also, do they fit your culture?
Correct.
Right. And so just be slow.
And I think you could also, depending on the role you're hiring them from. So if you're hiring for like a marketing and you're finding somebody online like that's going to work remote, I think you can talk to them about their portfolio. Have them do something, or have them, or if you have a PPC campaign or something that you want them to do, have them write the copy come up with something, give them, a day to draw up like a copy that they would put for this ad, how they would attack it and all that. So really put them into work. If they really want the job, then, test them and make sure that they're going to they're going to be able to do it. They have the capacity and they can do the job that you want them to.
Right.
So yeah, putting the right steps and hiring the right people up front is going to save.
You're going to be able to retain.
Before we even get into all these points. Right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
But let's get into this. So these are some tips for retaining remote team members. This is, our longest remote team member has been with us for 10 years. He's probably our longest tenured employee, period, right?
And he's amazing.
So, and he's out of the Philippines, and he's worked his way up, which we're going to talk about. And advanced his career. But he's just a great person, great culture fit, and he's done some ads for us, and just really a gem in our company. Yeah. So absolutely. But so the first step is going to provide clear communication, right? I think is the first step in retaining remote team members. So establishing open and transparent communication channels. So how do we go about doing that?
I think it also, starting with setting those expectations up front, right? And so I think a clear job description at the very beginning, knowing that, okay, this is what you're expected to do, right? And you, the manager and the remote team member knows exactly what you're supposed to do. It's signed off on. And I think that's where the clear communication starts, is right there.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And then, setting the expectation, have them sign a job description form so they know what they're signing up for. Set goals for them and deadlines of when they need to process certain things. If you don't have a task management software that they can follow, set some guidelines of how quickly do you want them to process this work order? How quickly are you expecting this to be done or this task to be done? So they know, they don't, or else some of them are going to be, they don't understand, they've never done that role before, so they don't know.
Right.
They're also, which we're going to talk about, they're coming from different cultures, sometimes different countries where things aren't done the same as the U.S. And so be aware of that, not saying that they can't change or conform to that. It's just sometimes they need to be aware of what's expected of them.
Yeah, so. I agree with that. And I think, I think one of the other first steps too is the training aspect of it and onboarding and training them, because I think that's where the clear communication starts as well, is with that training, right? And it's not just a one-time training, it's ongoing, right?
And so we do, just like with any employee, you do your 30, 60, 90-day reviews once they've started, then we do quarterly, and this applies to all our remote team members, no matter what role they're in. Their manager is going to do this with them. But we're meeting with them quarterly, giving them feedback consistently. I know one of our pod leads meets with her team quite regularly, and she, even though they have a pod lead meeting once a week, she also will weekly, throughout the week, check in with her remote team members just to see, hey, how's it going? Do you need any help? Just these constant little check-ins.
Right.
So I think it matters. I think the softwares and the stuff you're using, you need to have. So we use Microsoft Teams. We've used Slack before, which is good. But you need some kind of tool to instant message with them on a regular basis, collaborate with them. We use Teams or Slack in the past. Right now we use Teams, but we've set it up the same way we did in Slack, where, you have channels and different groups that they're a part of. We share birthdays about no matter remote or in office. We share like wins, successes. So they're constantly seeing and feel like they're involved, even though you might go down the hall and shake hands and give high fives, but they don't get to interact like that.
Exactly.
But if they can feel like that, and they get into it, they share their.
Yeah, you want to make them as part of your team, right? If as much as you can make them as part of your culture and your team, they're going to
stay.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't matter if you're a bigger company with 30 employees to just a smaller mom and pop shop where maybe you only have one remote team member, right? I think that check-in is still crucial. Like I remember when we first got started with a remote team member, like it was that constant everyday check-in, right? And then now we have our team huddles, which every morning at 9:38 in the morning, we all huddle in as an organization so we can have that 15 minutes together, because we might not see each other the rest of the day. Yes, they're doing their work, they're communicating with their teams, but it's like the first important 15 minutes of the day. I think every company should do that.
Absolutely. So get some kind of software. They're not very expensive to incorporate them, to use it, and it's your internal communication piece. And then some kind of, it's a lot of times you need either project management tools, task management tools. There's a lot of them out there that you can
CRM systems.
Yeah, that they can walk through and tells them the steps that they need to do on a day-to-day basis, the tasks for each job. We've like for the building, we've built everything into I just blank.
Lead Simple.
No, for building. Builder Trend.
Oh, Builder Trend.
Golly. It's
different company. Sorry,
it's late in the day, and I'm running out of fumes. But running on fumes. But the what was it called? Builder Trend.
Golly.
So Builder Trend, even for building the homes and for TTK, our remote team members are part of that. So like they, their tasks for like. They don't build the homes here in Houston. That's the project manager.
They probably could.
But with a construction manager, we have a really good remote team member that she does all the utilities, does all the
project management, basically.
Yeah, the permitting. She communicates a lot with the clients throughout as their homes being built, and there's tasks in this project management tool that just notifies her, hey, do this at this time, do this at this time. And it's also, that's where all the photos are uploaded. So it allows her to access that quickly and share it with the client. It allows her to know what the status of the homes are. So it's just like she's here with us, even though she's in Mexico, but she does a very, very good job. And so have some kind of tools like that, again, going back to the software and keeping them in the loop. And it's fun too, right? I have fun with them, with the GIFs, is it what they're called? I make yourself feel so old. Is that what they're called?
Yes.
And we have fun with it. Like, it can get sometimes a little overboard, but I mean, I think people get into it sharing like either the birthday ones or like every time we sign a new client, I try to find a funny dancing one, and so like I have somebody dancing.
We do make it fun. And whenever they get a review, we kind of celebrate them, which they love that because you treat them well and pay them well, right? Yeah. And they stay.
Let's get on to point 2. So the next one is regular check-ins, which we've already really covered. I mean, it's just, you got to have regular checks-in, one-on-one meetings with your remote team members. You got to get, like you said, feedback. Yep. Feedback is key. And let them give you feedback on how you're doing with them as well. Maybe they need extra training. Maybe they don't understand something. Maybe there's a better way they like to communicate.
Yeah, and that's why I think those 30, 60, 90-day reviews are crucial in any organization. And it doesn't matter if you're hiring remote or in-house. Like, you need to be doing those 30, 60, 90 days on every new employee because you want to know how they're doing. And then also, so like you mentioned, so you can get that feedback on how we're doing as well, right? Yeah. And set those goals. I think every 30, 60, 90 days, you should be setting goals for them. Okay, what do you expect to see them in the next 60 days? Yeah. In the next 90 days, right? And then after that, quarterly.
Yeah. And the next one, is providing feedback and recognition. So we're kind of overlapping some of these points, but we've already talked about feedback, but providing recognition, I think that's important to remember. So sometimes number one, I think sometimes we just fail to give our staff, whether they're remote or enough recognition, and they need it. It matters to them.
It does. And I think it matters also to to know them personally and know what does motivate them, right? Maybe they're not motivated by appreciation, right? Maybe it's, I don't know, gifts or whatever it is. It's important for you to know that.
Yeah. And so like we do in the office, a lot of times we'll do like handwritten thank you cards or handwritten appreciation cards. You can't do that with obviously remote team members. So, but you can privately, again, like Teams or Slack is a great place to just write a private message to somebody saying, hey, noticed you did this today with this client. I just want to say that you did an awesome job. Or, hey, you added value in this meeting this morning. I just wanted to let you know, great job. I really got a lot out of what you said, and it goes, especially when it comes from the ownership or a manager or somebody, it on the leadership team, it goes a long way when we provide that feedback. Sometimes they don't think they're noticed.
Right.
And
they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't thank you.
It goes a long way with them.
They do have virtual cards. You can do a virtual card. Why not?
Yeah, you could do the virtual card. But it just helps boost morale and motivation, really, when you provide that feedback and recognition. And then there's times you need to privately meet with them, to also give them feedback, negative or just criticism or things that they can work on.
Right.
And also do that. Again, I wouldn't do that publicly, but privately, I think it's a great place to meet with them one-on-one, and usually save it unless it's time sensitive. You can do it in your reviews.
Good point.
Fourth is foster team bonding. So encourage your team members to connect with your virtual team on building activities such as online games, virtual. We've done this and it's kind of been.
Yeah, it has been fun. I think also because we're set up in teams, so that really helps as well. So the teams kind of do their own thing, right? But yeah, every once in a while, like if we're doing, quarterly push for something, we'll kind of have a competition going, and we've done it where each of the teams create a video, right? And we get to kind of vote on the video per team. So yeah, make it fun. You can do some virtual games, coffee breaks, whatever you do, just keep in mind you have a virtual team. So you have to also incorporate that into the rest of your team.
Yeah. So and like you said, the daily huddle is another, just the meeting schedule to include them in everything. If you have a lunch and learn, include them and try to maybe give them, since you're not buying the lunch for them, maybe give them, $5 or $10 or extra on their check so they can buy their own lunch, but they can participate in the lunch and learns.
We celebrate birthdays.
They're on the screen, or if we do a baby shower, they're on the screen with us. So we try to incorporate them as much as possible. And yes, it takes money, and you have to invest in, technology or cameras and all that to try to include them and everything, but it matters, and it goes a long ways. So, professional development opportunities. So support your team members in their professional growth by offering opportunities for training, attending virtual conferences, workshops. I think this matters.
Personal development, I think, that's huge. It's been in our organization where we read books together, we learn together, right? And we have our customer service workshops where we're always trying to add value. And then also a lot of them lead those workshops, which is pretty cool because it's boosting, them and developing their leadership skills.
Correct. And then we've done, we read books as an organization. So we always make sure that we try to get them the audio version or the PDF format so they can read along with us. So, just incorporate them, developing them. But yeah, there's a lot of virtual conferences now or virtual trainings that they can attend and go through those. So a lot of times our HR company will have virtual training that some of them participate in and learn about, whether it be management, leadership, but it shows that we're investing in them. The sixth point is inclusion and diversity. So embrace diversity, foster the inclusion work culture. So being that a lot of ours are in Mexico, we or in the Philippines, we celebrate a lot of their holidays or their.
We want to know more about their culture. What they do in their hometown, whatever it is. We want to try to create that in our organization
and try to understand, it's different than the U.S. So I think the more you try to put yourself in their shoes, try to understand where they're coming from, what motivates them, maybe some of the circumstances they're living with, it puts it in perspective too.
Right.
And it gives you, it's amazing, I think what they've accomplished and sometimes we take a lot for granted living in the U.S. And so, just try to really understand that diversity and what they're going through. So it just puts it in perspective and I think it helps you be more relatable to them, and vice versa.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And our final point is just opportunities for growth, providing opportunities for your remote team members to grow. So Jay is our first remote team member, started off in leasing, doing leads, right?
Yeah, he a lead manager, and so taking in the guest cards and following up with the leads. And now he's basically our head lease coordinator, right?
It's amazing because we're bringing on a couple of new leasing coordinators.
He's training our in-house people, which is pretty cool if you think about it.
So somebody in the Philippines is going to be training our U.S.-based staff. And to be honest with you, I don't think anybody here in the office knows everything that he does.
Whenever we need something in leasing, we go to Jay because we know Jay is going to have the answers to it, right? And so he's been able to grow with us and extremely grateful for him. And
so it's just giving those opportunities to grow within their positions, giving them opportunities, obviously for pay raises, and it goes a long way. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it does matter to them, recognizing them.
Right, rewarding them. I think the last one, rewarding them, right? So, that's something that we've done with our reviews, right? We pay for reviews and everybody in our entire organization gets the same amount. And that's huge to them.
It goes a long way. It's a lot of money for them. So, and they greatly appreciate it and probably more appreciate. I shouldn't say that, but they're very appreciative.
They appreciate it.
And but just give them, opportunities to lead projects if it's possible, and as opportunities. What's been cool in our business and what we've seen over the last 10 years of working with remote team members is they've started to move into positions that we used to have staff here in the office in the U.S. And so it's been neat to see that they have grown into some of those positions and they do an excellent job.
Right. And that's why when I speak to a lot of franchises and a lot of business owners, and they can see firsthand what we've built and the talent that we're getting. And that's really what I'm passionate about, to help other businesses, because they can grow and scale without having to add a whole lot more to their budget.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can, as long as you follow these steps and placing the people in the right seats, you can find talent.
Yeah. And so, they're interacting with our customers, our owners on a face-to-face basis or on a, one-on-one. They're working with the clients directly. They're working with residents directly, vendors directly. Yeah, and so it's amazing what they can do.
It really is. And you talk, some clients are like, what can they do? What can they not do? Right. Yeah. And for the most part, they can do everything.
Other than being physically at the properties or showing the properties or putting signs of lock, everything else.
Exactly. We feel comfortable for them talking to our owners, right, and communicating. And so just that right there says a lot.
And I think something that I remembered what I was going to tell you at the very beginning. I think what also helps in retaining remote team members is with our company, True Work Logistics. Why we're in Mexico is, we're able to provide them, some of the in most cases, remote team members are contract labor,
right,
and
freelance,
and so they're they don't have the opportunities. And I think it's nice that we give them the opportunities by helping them with the tax for their housing and their health insurance and coverage, and so they're getting benefits that I think
Yeah, just like the U.S., right? People look for those benefits. They want stability within the company,
Correct.
right? They want a growing company. So when they see all these things that they're getting, they're extremely grateful for even having the opportunity, right? And so I think that's something that you need to look at as well. If you are, hiring a remote team member, really look at it. You're basically, if you're doing freelance, you're paying them under the table, right?
Yeah.
Just like subcontract. And not all the time you're going to find the talent. And a lot of times they're going to go elsewhere when they do find more money, right? Where with us, I think that's one of the biggest reasons we've been able to retain our talent is because we are paying those benefits. We are giving those benefits to them.
Yeah. And so that's what I was going to get at. It's just, it matters. And so I understand in not all circumstances can you do that, but that is important. I think also to retain the right people, you need to pick the right countries if you're going to go out of the country, out of the U.S.
Absolutely. Know what you're getting into.
Yeah, you need the stability, you need the right workforce, the right stability in the government. So all of that matters if you're really retaining, the right client for the long term. So that matters. So when you're selecting how am I going to go hire my remote team member next, or the next one I'm going to hire, maybe partnering with a company like TrueWork Logistics, or if you're going to do it on your own, being selective on where you're going and what country and how you're going to set it up and organize it. So
right.
That's
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're listening to this, and you want to, I actually provide free one-on-one coaching sessions, to kind of understand your business and your model and where maybe your pain points are in your business. So feel free to reach out to me.
Awesome. Well, that was a good one. I like that. So, again, we appreciate you listening. We hope you got some value out of this, and hopefully you are out there hiring remote team members because they've revolutionized our business, and
it's been a game changer for our business.
So we want to make sure you retain them, you keep positive attitudes, keep them engaged in your workforce, and so hopefully you take away some points and implement them, and we'll see you all next week.
See ya, everyone.
You've been listening to Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel. Tons of entrepreneurial podcasts are out there, talking. But Joni and Shawn are living it every single day. Their portfolio now includes many franchises and medium-sized businesses. We talk about the trials and motivators of successfully running a business. Join us again soon for another podcast. But until then, reach out on the website at InsideTheWolfsDen.com, on Facebook at Inside the Wolf's Den, on Instagram at Inside the Wolf Den. We'll see you again soon. This is Inside the Wolf's Den. We'll see you next time.